Greetings and welcome to the channel all about Putin, mostly about Putin, and Russia and Russians. Russian vloggers, who they are, what they do, what they don't do, the bottom tiers. So this is the second video in this series. The top tiers is a video that you should watch first. And this is about Russian vloggers that I know about. It's not, I sometimes look for Russian vloggers, but usually these are people I've been following for, a long time, or the people I don't like too much, I don't follow very much, but I kind of keep an eye on what videos they're publishing. So this is the bottom tiers, the Russian vloggers who aren't really doing anything about the war in Ukraine. So the way I have these categorized, the first category, the highest one, is the fighters, the true to themselves people. They're really concerned, and to be concerned and to, use your voice to be concerned, you have to leave Russia. Otherwise you're in jail. So these are people who left Russia, some because they couldn't be silenced, some because they're disgusted in the country, some because they've already been bad and they know due to new laws that they could be put in prison for 15 years for what they have been doing, so they got the hell out of the country. Second tier, the concerned, true to themselves, but careful not to be too outspoken, so they won't, come out and say, stop the war and stuff like that. They're concerned, they express views as best as possible while being careful. If they get arrested, they don't do anybody any good. And those two are in the first video, the Russian vloggers, video number 1. And then the bottom two tiers are what we're going to go over here. The afraid and not real concerned, slightly concerned about the war but doing nothing. And in the bottom tier is just the bottom dwellers who focus on personal wealth. They're vloggers that don't care about the war. They don't care about anything. Focused on getting wealthy off of subscribers and Patreons, and urging subscribers to move to other platforms so they continue to maximize their wealth. So these are people who, aren't doing Russia any good. They're in it for their own wealth. So this channel is called 1001 Dreams, and this is a lady I've only been following for a couple of weeks, but she hasn't been around that long. So I think I went back and I forget whether she's only been around a few months. Seems to me I started following her and she had very few followers. And now she's got, I don't know how many followers, but 1.2K views on some of hers. She's still kind of small time. But anyways, the two videos I wanted to talk about here are the two on the left. Why Russians think they are far from politics, which isn't necessarily true. But anyways, I watched that video, and then the one on the top, her latest one. So let's see what she says in these. So I usually put a little, verbiage right next to the video, but her videos are all kind of the same. So I call her a poetic tree hugger because she is a tree hugger, and she actually does hug trees in her videos a little bit. She's kind of like gypsy-ish or something, and she doesn't look Russian. That she looks more, Eastern European, but further south. So I call her poetic because she actually does take out a piece of paper and she starts her videos by writing to a friend, dear friend, I want to write and tell you about this or that. And then she actually walks around in her videos too. So she recognizes a separation of countries, but she doesn't say anything about a war. She can't call it a war. She doesn't say anything about it, the special military operation either. She doesn't say anything about anything. But she does recognize the fact that, the Russians and Ukrainian people are, separated, and, she just doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything, doesn't speak out enough to get any more than 2 stars. Then we have Russian Plus. So this is a guy named Scala, and I've been following him for at least a couple years. And he's kind of funny. He's been to the United States a lot of times, even though you don't see it in the videos here. And that's because I don't know why. See, 5 months ago, he was in New York City 5 months ago too. And where else was he? He hasn't been in the U.S. for a while, but he started traveling to the United States on some kind of like travel to work program, which is something I never heard of, but they have it in Russia where they'll actually give you a working visa and let you come to the United States, and then you find some kind of job, like a summer job working somewhere. So I think his first jobs were down in like, Tennessee or something. That's why he kind of has a little bit of a southern drawl. Now he's a good guy, but let's go on to this page. So, like I said, I've been a long time subscriber. I think I know how he feels, but he's not saying anything. he just, quit making videos. You can see his last video, Russia's top 10 exports, that he made like a month ago. And this was, I guess I took the screenshot a while ago because he hasn't said anything about, the invasion or anything. And, so he's kind of pro-American because he spends a lot of time in the U.S., but he's also pro-Russian. And, he says some crazy things sometimes. He'll do a video. Like he was in Moscow, and he was talking about, look at these. He went around just filming cars, like a Lamborghini pulling up, and he said, you don't see this in New York. Well, no shit, Sherlock. You don't see Lamborghinis in New York because nobody in New York owns a car, dummy. New York's a little bit different than Moscow. Moscow is a spread out city with a very, very tiny downtown area, full of American architecture. But yeah, compare it with, LA or, Miami Beach or something. And yeah, the U.S. would have a lot more exotic cars than Russia does. But anyways, he made a video like that showing off that, Russia has a lot of exotic cars and stuff. But, Russia's still nothing to show off, but, he tries. Anyways, the last thing that he did was Russia's top 10 exports, and, that's nothing to brag about. I even commented there that, that's not a very impressive list of exports there, buddy. Compared to most countries, the U.S. exports everything, like all kinds of technology and, medical technology and architectural technology and, electronic technology. Look inside of any smartphone, But anyways, it's, he's a good guy, but he just disappeared. So I don't even know if I should put him on here. He's got a lot of subscribers, 232,000 subscribers. He could be making a lot of money if he posted videos. He's probably not posting videos, but he knows he's got mostly American followers, and he just doesn't want to go to jail, I guess. So he's not up there, and he's on the second tier just because I know how he feels, but he's not saying so. Then we have this Natasha from Russia who she's another tree hugger too. So my attitude toward Westerners as a Russian. So I put, she's barely concerned. She still mostly talks about Russia. She has a couple things where she went through a store just to show, how many stores are closed, and everybody knows that. It depends on what kind of mall you're in. If you're in Moscow and you're in the Galleria, which is, a big, on the east side of the Red Square is this, on the west side is the Kremlin, the big red brick wall, and Lenin's tomb out front, and the unknown soldiers, monument or, memorial with an eternal flame is to the left of the Lenin's tomb. And then on the south side, you have St. Basil's, that crazy church. It looks like somebody with, doing acid designed it or something. It's really bizarre looking. And then on the north side, you have the historical museum, and on the east side, you have the Goom, which is like a galleria, with the big glass ceilings, rounded ceilings, and but there's three rows of them, and they go almost the whole length of Red Square. So it's a big, huge place, and inside it's mostly Gucci shops and stuff like that. Cartier and shops that you can't afford to shop in. So I was in there once. I was waiting for somebody, and I had a video camera with me, and I just set it up on the second level there, and just started filming because I wanted to take it back home and show guys guys I work with and friends what Russian ladies look like. They're made out, they're poured into a mold. They're all 5'7", 120 pounds, and they come in three races: blonde, auburn, and brunette. So, but anyways, if you're in the Goom, then a lot of stores are going to be closed. Yeah, like 80% of all the stores. If you're in a regular shopping mall, maybe 50% of the stores are closed. And if you're in a suburban mall somewhere, maybe most of the stores are still open because they didn't cater to foreign expensive brands. So, anyways, she talks a lot. She doesn't, go out on a limb and say anything though. So she's not worth. She only has 1.65K subscribers, so that's not very many. Then Anastasia, she's such a sweet little girl. I think she's only like 20 years old, or maybe 21, 22. She's a little farm girl, and she's really fun to listen to. I think I've watched all of her videos, and she's just sweet, and walks through the woods while she's recording, and she makes soap and lotions and stuff like that, and she helps her parents on the farm. And let's see. So like I said, sweet farm girl, young, wholesome, left Russia for a while. Now, that's the video of her, on the airplane. So she, flew to Turkey. Russians can't fly anywhere. They can fly to Turkey. They can fly to any of the, stands that I call them, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. But she went to Turkey instead. And she could have gone to Georgia, too, where a lot of Russians go. So she was in Georgia for a pretty short period of time, and then she came back home. Now she's, honor your father and mother. She said her mother and father needed help on the farm, so she came back. But really, she's, disappointed. The video on the right where it says, "Let's be friends." That's her talking vaguely about Russia and Ukraine. And, she's just a good girl, but of course she's going to stay out of jail. So she's not going to say anything about, conflicts. Then we have Ellie here, who's about the bottom dweller of all the bottom dwellers. So the war broke out, and she just continued traveling around. She's a travel vlogger. And she thinks she's been everywhere, but I don't know how many countries she's been to, like 20, not even half as many countries as I've been to. And, she's just in it for the money. So her last three here, I've watched some of her videos in the past. She wasn't that fun to watch in the past either, before the invasion happened. So what do I say? She continued to travel around Russia like nothing's happening, and but she does offer ways for people to support her. So she'll get on and make a video and say, "Hey, I'm going to continue traveling because that's what I do, and I'm not going to talk about politics because that's not what I do." Oh, and by the way, this is my Patreon account. And these are a few other ways you can pay me now, to support me. In her last video, the end. How the special operation changed our life. Well, she's not concerned about the special operation. This is just a sympathy video that she put out, like clickbait, to get you to click on it. And she still you know, she has a big enough following with 240,000 subscribers that she could actually leave Russia because she's been everywhere, and she could try to convince people inside of Russia that the Russians are doing bad things. But of course, she's not going to do that. She's just in it for the money. So here's another guy. He even has a bigger following, and I don't understand why. I don't find him that fun to watch. He opens up every video saying, I learned English by watching old American movies, and he's got a big following, but really, I don't know how people can go through his videos. It's just, he's not that smart. And then here I put opens video saying he learned English by watching movies, huge following, uneducated, obviously, and shows, gasoline prices and home heating prices after sanctions. So, how smart is that? So this is an earlier video where he went around to all the gas stations because it's not showing up here. So the two on the bottom are home heating bills and prices in Russia, in supermarkets. But, Russia has an oil and gas economy. Naturally, gasoline is going to be cheap. And he brags about how it hasn't changed any, the sanctions aren't bothering it. And home heating bills, that's gas, that's their other product. It's an oil and gas economy. Russia makes nothing that the world wants. Absolutely nothing. When was the last time you saw something in your house that says made in Russia? Nobody in the world ever buys anything made in Russia because nothing's made in Russia. It's an oil and gas economy. That's it. That's about it. So yeah, he kind of makes it sound like nothing bad is happening in his country and in Russia because of the sanctions. Well, just wait, dude. Because pretty soon Germany's going to, realize that, yeah, they'll take an economic hit if they shut off the oil and gas pipelines, but they can do it and kill Russia, kill the rest of the Russian economy. And that's probably going to happen pretty soon. So, yeah, I don't have too much good to say about this guy. Then we have this guy who has kind of a following, and I just can't stand watching him. He's just not a real masculine little guy. So he's got a big following, and he lives in St. Petersburg, which is my favorite town, but he doesn't say anything about anything. I don't know why he has a following. He's young. Maybe he's got some young followers, but he's young and funky, and I don't know. People follow him for some reason. So occasional clickbait, like he said, how I grew up in Russia as a kid, and the one in the middle row in the top, quick update from Russia. Well, he doesn't say anything in there. What's the quick update? Total self-promotion, just like other people. So he's just not very appealing to watch. I can't really watch through a whole video of his. So that's it. That's how I look at some of these Russian vloggers. This was the bottom tiers, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.